G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Draw with Jazza. I'm Jazza and today we're doing a character design session. I've got 3 polls set up. The first poll is for the Twitch chat to choose between the character types. The second poll is for people to pick their favorite character attribute, for example, muscular, one-armed, fat, big beard. And finally, we have a prop, wings, gauntlets, shovel, hammer, and the combination is going to be any mix of any one from each of these 3 polls, and then we're going to have a unique character that I'm going to create a final concept from today. So the poll has been launched and now we play the waiting game, but you as YouTube can skip ahead with the magic of editing. You ready? 1, 2, 3, kapow! The winning character type is Magician. The character attribute is Scarred. And then finally, the prop that our Scarred Magician will be bearing is a wild pet. Interesting. I've also put the gender to the vote for the Twitch chat, and it turns out that this character is going to be female. So I'm going to jump straight into designing the character, and the first stage in this is really going to be throwing all my ideas on the page. But what I'm going to be keeping in mind while designing my scarred female magician with a wild pet is that I really want to accentuate these features, particularly the magician, the scars, and the wild pet. So I want her to be obviously a magician. I want her to be very obviously a cliche magician, and I want her scars to make her look intimidating and dark, and I want her pet to complement that mysterious but dark and gringy aesthetic, and I'm really looking forward to playing around with this. There are a few ideas that I sort of went to and fro between, and I started off very quickly gravitating to using some of the cliche things in the clothing, like the top hat, having the bow tie and a tuxedo, but with the female magician's scarred face, it was difficult to try and figure out how to go about the scars. Do I have cuts on her face? Do I do it on the top half or the bottom half or half of the side of the face, or do I do it throughout the body somewhere or mostly in the face? So it's been interesting. The half face look, which is a little bit of a Phantom of the Opera look, also feels like it's been done before. A full scarred face is hard to make look feminine, but it turns out that I think doing the lower half of the face, probably from halfway on the nose down on the face, so that the eyes stay feminine but the mouth looks skeletal and freaky. Then we can play with colors like raw reds and purples to get this really burned, scarred look. And that could be really cool too, because it would complement the aesthetic of the rest of the body. So I could have a really feminine top half of the head, and then the lower half of the face could be really freaky, and it could mean that her character works well in that way, that let's say she's from a comic book, she could mostly hide most of her face, and she could seduce people with her eyes and with her, you know, look or whatever, but then when she reveals herself, that's like the look. So I think I'm going with something like this for the facial look, and then with the body itself, I'm gonna go with the tuxedo look, but I'm actually gonna go more extreme stylistically. I'm gonna go with really thin limbs and go for a really skeletal, almost Jack Skellington sort of look, just not that extreme. And for the pet, I settled pretty quickly on the idea of a snake. I think the snake fits that feeling of creepy, sneaky aesthetic, and but still works well with her visuals. It's thin and long. I feel like I have a good direction to go in now. I'm going to go even more stylistic than you see in these pictures here, because I feel like I can really push that a bit. I'm not even going to test it and play with it. I just want to jump into doing a character art piece and see how it turns out. So it's a bit of a mystery at the moment, but I'm excited to see where it goes. So jumping straight into the refined character concept, I start off by really blocking out the rough shapes that will create the silhouette and the pose of the character. Now, I do start off a little bit more in my usual proportions, and I realize that I need to break away from that. So as I go through, I also start to refine the silhouette and the limbs to be really thin and start to get a much more stylistic, pointy, gangly look. Once I'm happy with how the shape is taking place, I start to refine in the details, and the place I start with this character is the face, because honestly, if the face doesn't work, then the rest just doesn't work. So there's no point wasting my time on the rest of the body and then getting to the face and not being able to make it work. So first I go through and try and get the eyes in an expression that's manic enough, and then a mouth then that complements that, but obviously drastically opposes it because it's aesthetically very different. The top half of her face is going to end up being really clean and fairly pretty, though terrifying and manic, and the bottom half of her face and neck neck, and the rest of her skin is going to be absolutely terrifying. So this is going to really help create a nice contrast and a villainous look in this character. When we're happy with that, basically I then go through the rest of the body and start to rough in the details from the clothing to the gloves, the skin, and so on and so forth. I know I say this a lot, but I am really happy with how this turned out. I say that every time. I guess because I don't have expectations going forward, when I end up with something, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So it's a good way to go forward, I think, when you do character designs, to not actually have an end goal in mind, just go in a direction that works and then see what you end up with. I'm going to go with a bit of a comic style look with this character, so I'm going to go with some pretty sharp, solid lines, and then when I get to the color, I actually want to add a bit of a red/orange mist behind her. And in doing that, I'm going to be using my Copic markers, and I'm going to lay down the mist colors first, the background colors, because then I'm going to use a lot of colorless blender to really soften that, and then I can go through the rest of the piece and add the rest of my color. I'm really excited to see how this turns out. Wish me luck. And ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this character design session. I am really happy with how this turned out. I say that every time, but I really enjoy these character design sessions. As you can see, her physical build is very, very thin and fragile, but she has this very gnarly face. I'm really enjoying the intensity of her expression and the way these traits have come together. The female magician with scars and a wild pet seem to come together in a way that feel like this character was always meant to be like this, you know, and that's what I love about these sessions, is it's a really fun way to take random, bizarre things and turn them into something that feels right. So I really hope you enjoyed this character design session. I've had loads of fun with it. Thank you so much for watching. You can join future Twitch streams, which include things like Let's Draws and character design sessions and challenges and loads more, by clicking the link on the screen and in the description. Otherwise, that's it for now, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for new content every week. If you want to support my work and get some goodies for yourself, head over to my store for archives, ebooks, digital brushes, video courses, and more. If you enjoyed this video, here's a link to another video you might like from this channel. And if you want even more, make sure to check out all my behind the scenes action on my vlog channel, Daily Jazza. Draw with Jazza is proudly sponsored by Adobe. Join the Creative Cloud today and get loads of incredible creative tools like Photoshop, Animate, Premiere Pro, and other apps for your computer or mobile device. That's it for now. Thanks for joining the arty party, and until next time, I'll see you later.